began with a single line. The illusion of sisterly loyalty would be permanently destroyed by a single line buried inside a bankruptcy form. Tamar Braxton is the name that is written there. Creditor is the category next to it. It was just paperwork to the outside world. However, since this wasn't a stranger, Tamar saw it as the greatest betrayal. This was not a business associate. This was Towanda Braxton, her own sister, whom she had assisted when no one else would. The person to whom she had given $50,000 out of love rather than charity. A sister's hand delving into her personal funds to support the desire of another sister. But when trust is used as a weapon, love, as I said, can become toxic. Tamar Braxton had always been the problematic child, the emotional one and the flaming one on film. The world was informed of this, the diva who sobbed excessively, yelled excessively, and simply couldn't let things go. However, if you pay hard attention, you may hear a lady who has been pushed too far for too long beneath the screaming and shouting. People rolled their eyes when Tamar stood there claiming to have given Towanda that $50,000. Here she goes once more. However, the evidence, the paperwork, the invoices, the portion that nobody was allowed to see came next. In her bankruptcy filing, Towanda Braxton listed her own sister as a creditor. In other words, she acknowledged under oath that she owed the money. But instead of repaying it, she buried it and wrote it off as if it had never happened. What actions did the other sisters take? Toni Braxton remained mute. Trina Braxton grinned. Collectively, they pretended that Tamar was the issue, as if she remained for even mentioning it. Let's go back though. Because Towanda had a dream home that she yearned for before the bankruptcy and the falsehoods. For the down payment, her lender required proof of funds in her account. Property 101. To demonstrate stability, the monies must be seasoned while they are sitting there. As a family, Tamar responded, "I'll help you." She wired the money. I had faith that Towanda would fulfill her commitment and return it within a few days. I take it that's what sisters do? But this time, assistance turned into larceny, because Towanda failed to return the money when she eventually received her check. Instead, she declared bankruptcy. She also identified Tamar as a creditor, which exacerbated the situation, in the same way that you would list a credit card statement or a lending company. The betrayal was psychological as well as punitive. On reality television, it appeared to be just another Braxton dispute. Beneath those shiny confessions and edited cuts, however, was a woman who realized that her own blood had set her up to appear dishonest. Tamar Braxton was not going insane. Her trust was eroding. The fact that everyone else complied makes it even more sinister. Toni, the calm matriarch, revealed she had found her own credit card tied to Towanda's phone plan. 4 years and 6 lines in Tamar's name. Nevertheless, Toni looked down, grinned subtly, and responded, "Family helps each other." When the time came to be honest. Do families support one another, or do they cover up each other's transgressions? To be clear, Towanda Braxton's actions were not helpful. It was deceit disguised as sisterhood. She took more than simply cash. She accepted the story. While discreetly defending her own falsehood, she gave the impression that Tamar was erratic, theatrical, and dishonest. Consider that. You help your sister acquire her dream house. You pay the deposit to her. You believe what she says. And months later, you're reading your name as a creditor in a bankruptcy case, seated in your kitchen. You see, it was all planned by her. The legal loophole, the loan, and the lie. Then she dares to call the police, adding insult to injury. The same woman who stole your money, credit, and tranquility now portrays you as violent, dangerous, and unstable. For years, this perverse cycle has been going on.
Voice quality, clarity, tone, energy, pronunciation, delivery and script flow, naturalness, emotional expression, timing and pacing, speed, rhythm, pauses, accent accuracy, alignment with a U.S. accent or American. Toni and Trina are the silent judges, hiding behind family harmony while allowing one sister to burn in public, while Tamar is the antagonist and Towanda is the sufferer. However, Tamar Braxton took a different approach this time. She did not merely weep, she did more than simply clap back. She had receipts with her. There was no gossip in the bankruptcy document. It served as evidence. The court filed with a timestamp. Unquestionable. It was not a gift of $50,000, it was a loan, as Towanda stated, and the truth was revealed by the paper trail. Wanda Braxton took the money, had no intention of giving it back, and then had it legally deleted. Nevertheless, Toni and Trina's quiet was more audible than any disagreement. They were aware that they had witnessed the proof. However, they shrugged, grinned, and acted as though it was simply another family misunderstanding rather than supporting Tamar. However, this is no longer about sisterly squabbles. This has to do with principles, stealing, trust, and the emotional cost of taking the blame. Since each family has concealed, there is a hierarchy in every sisterhood. However, this was a blatant betrayal, signed, dated, and submitted to the court. Tamar Braxton is a ... She is no longer the scapegoat. The receipts are truthful. The bankruptcy doesn't lie. The quiet does. Being betrayed by a stranger is one thing, but being cut by a knife made of your own blood is quite another. For years, Tamar Braxton had stood up for her family, forgiving those who couldn't be forgiven, and defending the Braxton name despite the damage to her own reputation. But now that she had the receipts in her possession, she felt humiliated as well as hurt, because Tamar had secretly thought that the truth would eventually be important. When the evidence eventually surfaced, her sisters, particularly Toni and Trina Braxton, would support her, acknowledge her mistakes, and hold Towanda Braxton responsible. But quiet instead. Toni grinned. She gives everyone the same composed, practiced grin. Pretending not to hear what was said, Trina moved in her chair. As the cameras continued to roll, Tamar became aware that she was by herself while sitting there, trembling. Here's the thing now. Braxton didn't just make a mistake. This was computed. She bought that home in 2018, knowing full well that she would file for bankruptcy the following year. The documents were filed in April 2019, just a few months later. She started detailing debts before the mortgage's ink had even dried. And Tamar Braxton's name was there, in black and white. Don't consider that. Who purchases a house just to file for bankruptcy a few months later? Who takes $50,000 from their own sister, swears to return it, and then goes undercover to make it vanish? It's not unlucky. That's the idea. Nevertheless, Towanda pretended it was unimportant when the truth came to light. She laughed. She downplayed. It was a gift, she claimed. But the legislation is truthful. Filings for bankruptcy are legal paperwork. Gifts are not included in them. They consist of money owing, debts, and Tamar. She wasn't dreaming. She wasn't overstating anything. Plain as day, she was listed there. People began to understand that perhaps Tamar Braxton wasn't the drama queen after all, as she continued to speak. Perhaps she was the only one with the courage to speak the truth. You know exactly how this feels if you've ever been the one to speak up in a family that keeps its problems hidden. Honesty is not rewarded. You are punished for upsetting the delusion. And Tamar stood for disruption and honesty for many years. Nobody wanted to look in the mirror. So when she revealed her own sister stole her credit card, people doubted her. In private, Toni Braxton acknowledged that she had also found her name on Towanda's phone plan. Tamar's card was charged for 6 lines over 4 years. Just imagine the embarrassment. While you're battling for mental health awareness and developing a brand on TV, your own sister is accruing debt in your name. What actions did the others take? Nothing. Not even Toni, who had her own evidence. Rather, she dismissed it as family supporting family. But this was ineffective.
This was stealing under the pretext of loyalty. Tamar was told that he was too emotional. Each time she presented proof, they called her petty. But when the truth strikes too close to the heart, it becomes petty. Now the pattern was clear. They came together whenever Tamar revealed anything real, not against the transgression, but against her. They buried Towanda's lies with laughter because they were inconvenient. The Braxton Code was established by Toni's silence. Trina's smirk became her armor, and consequently, she became the lightning rod. But when you don't comply, that's what takes place. The family that used to think you were crazy is now afraid of your receipts. Your vindication is captured by the same cameras that edited your breakdowns. Because this wasn't just about money anymore. It was about honesty, respect, and the kind of treachery that costs dignity in addition to money. To be clear, Tamar Braxton never claimed to be perfect, but she has always wanted justice, accountability, and an apology.
That did not materialize. She knew in her heart that her sister owed her more than simply money. Honesty was what she owed her. And perhaps that's why Tamar lost it at last. Perhaps this explains why her voice trembles when she discusses family. Perhaps that's why she lost patience. Because you can only get gaslit so many times before you start defending your reputation. That's the reason she said, "You listed me as a creditor," after looking into that camera. It was more than a declaration. It was freedom. What her heart had always known was confirmed by the paper. Nevertheless, there is still a lingering stillness between Toni and Trina. Not a word, not a defense, just gentle dismissals and kind smiles. However, silence is never neutral in such homes. Being silent is a form of defense. Guilt with lipstick on, is silence. The world is now wondering if Tamar Braxton was being honest all along. What else has she been correct about? After years of manipulation, how many meltdowns were really just moments of breaking? Because sometimes the loudest person in the room is simply fed up with being misled rather than being unstable. Unreliable? She simply wants to stop being misled. Now that he has the receipts, Tamar Braxton has permanently altered the narrative. Drama was seen by the people. She perceived treachery. Shame was evident to the sister. However, the truth came to light. One story can be found in Towanda Braxton's bankruptcy documents. The quiet between Toni and Trina speaks volumes. But the most important message is conveyed by Tamar Braxton's voice. That trembling, rebellious, relentless voice. Because the cameras stop filming and the money vanishes when the dust settles. Only one thing will stay undeniable. Tamar Braxton was correct.